Happy Thanksgiving over here from the 18th. First off, I hope y'all having a great Thanksgiving. If you're tuning in, it's not Thanksgiving. That means that you're checking out this Cajun cornbread stuffing that we're about to put together. Now, it took me a while to determine if I want to make this video because this recipe is going to blow your mind. But anyway, I decided to go ahead and make it. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe down below and make sure to leave the comment after you cook it up and taste it because you're going to love it. So let's get to it. So for this Thanksgiving and every Thanksgiving, I make my famous Louisiana Cajun cornbread dressing. Okay? Now, what I like to do is I like to develop the flavors, and to develop the flavors and the depth of any meal, you have to cook your ingredients at certain times. But before we get into that, we're going to break down what we're going to use to make this dish, okay? So first off, what you see right here is a bowl of tasso and smoked sausage cubed up. It's very important, in my opinion, to get the proper portions that you want to use. But when you're talking about tasso, if you don't know tasso, you need to look it up. Tasso is a Cajun smoked pork meat that really adds a nice depth of flavor and spice to the dish. I highly recommend it. I almost use it in most of my meals. You need to learn about tasso. Once you learn about tasso, you're never going to go back, okay? In addition to that, right here we just have a normal already diced cubed ham, which we're going to add as well. And this is going to be the meats that we're going to add to our Cajun cornbread stuffing. Now, for Cajun cornbread stuffing, I'll say that one thing about this cornbread stuffing is you can eat this literally anything. You can eat it for breakfast, you can eat it for dinner, you can eat it for dessert because it has so many different spices, sweetness, and flavor, okay? Right here is what we have is the Holy Trinity in Louisiana, but we added some red pepper to it. So normally the Holy Trinity is green pepper, celery, and onions. I like to add red pepper for a little bit of different flavor, and we also got our cubed onions, okay? We walk on down. We got some green onions, which I haven't cut up yet, but we like to save those for the end. I throw them in while the stuff is cooking, and also right at the end for a little bit of pop and color. Right here is cornbread. Now you can see this cornbread's already been cooked. You can buy cornbread cooked in the store if you can find it. And I highly recommend if you're going to cook this dish that you get your cornbread a couple of days earlier. You want to kind of let it stale out. The drier it is, the better it's going to make for the dish. And then we have some fresh rosemary and some fresh basil that we're going to add in for flavor as well. So let's get to it. Alright, some additional ingredients, okay? I highly recommend rotel. This is going to add a nice kick and spice to the dish. So we already have spicy tasso, and then I love rotel. But if you want to kick it down a notch, then just go with the regular tomato. You don't have to use rotel. Rotel adds the spice. I recommend corn. I like the white and the yellow to add a little bit of crunch and sweetness to the dish. You might just like white. You might just like yellow. Use what you want. Chicken stock. The dish calls for up to 3 cups of chicken stock, but you can use 2 cups. I like to use less in my opinion. You don't need the extra salt and sodium that comes with the chicken stock, so I'll actually kick it down to 1 can is all you need, or if you like the box. Heavy cream, you're going to need some heavy whipping cream. We're going to use a half a cup of heavy whipping cream as well. And 2 eggs. We need 2 eggs right here, and we're going to get to it. So that's all of the ingredients for this dish. And also, I forgot to mention garlic, which I recommend fresh garlic. We didn't have any. I also recommend mimosa to drink with that and celebrate Thanksgiving with your family and friends, kids, everybody getting ready to tear it up. Look at this beautiful rosemary. You gotta love rosemary. So nice and fresh. Smells delicious. Love this. I love adding some of this in the cooking stage, but also some right at the end for a fresh pop where it doesn't get absorbed and you get those hints of the rosemary. Professional sous chef is in the house. Just gonna learn this. Okay, so these are the spices that I use. Of course, you use what you like. So I always love sea salt, cracked sea salt. Even though we have fresh basil, oh yeah, I like to use dry basil or Italian seasoning, which I don't think I have a thing of Italian seasoning. Cracked black pepper, and then a touch of cayenne to spice it up, because that's how we do in Louisiana. We spice it up a notch. So you can use that if you like. Use whatever other spices you want to add that you prefer. Make it your own. Alright, let's get to it. Start off with, this is the first foundation of all my dishes. This is how I really add flavor. You know, I see a lot of different cooking shows where they just saute all the vegetables at one time. John Besh, who's a famous Louisiana chef, watched him do this, and he likes to do this as well. We're just going to saute our onions to start off with. Let the onions build that flavor. Then I'm going to add a little bit of garlic. That's going to be the foundation before we add any other vegetables to our dish. And I'm going to get my sous chef over here to start this off. In regards to how much olive oil or anything like that, I grew up watching another famous chef, used to come on all the time when I was a kid, Justin Wilson. I guarantee. And one thing that I used to love as a kid is he would never measure anything. He used his hands and his eyes to measure the stuff. And as a kid, I was like, man, how does he do that, you know? But he was just a really awesome chef. And, you know, when you measure your stuff, if you want to be precise with it. I know some measuring you have to be. I just kind of gauge it. One thing you don't want to do is put too much, you know. You can kind of just mix it up. But that probably is good enough. Paul Perdone says he used to just mix his up beforehand, mix it in there, and then drop it in with just the stuff coating. That's one way that you don't do access, but you can always add more. So do it how you want. So let's get to it. So a great tip that my mom taught me is you could take your pan and swivel your oil around, you know, just to evenly coat the bottom. Pan really heat up for a second. I just cranked it on. And once it gets hot, we'll wait till it gets hot so we can hear that sizzle when you drop those onions on it. Oh yeah. The crackling that we like to hear. And you can let those sit, spread them around, pumps right there, get them all even. You just let them sit and really build up that delicious base flavor, which is going to add just when I talk about the depth of the dish, really you got to do these in a series. And we're going to throw a little bit of cracked sea salt and pepper on those onions. Just to really start building up that foundation and just really let these cook down. Once again, for the salt and the pepper and really all your spices, add as much as you want or don't want. You can kind of see, I kind of just always eye my stuff out. I never measure it. I just like to kind of evenly coat it and just give it a nice little coat on top of it. So if you want to come take a quick look, we got our onions looking good. You can let them get a little bit darker if you want, just where they build up a little bit of texture and brown. And we're going to add some garlic. Once again, if you have fresh garlic, it's good. I like to add about one hefty little teaspoon, tablespoon, whatever you call it, you know, just to get in there, and that's going to go right on top of the onions. And the next step, we'll let you decide on what you want to do, whether you want the dish to be a little bit meatier flavor or a little bit more vegetable based. I personally like to put my meat in this, which you're about to see. We're going to throw in our cubed meat, and we're going to let that get like the onions and build the next depth of flavor and get a nice little char on the meat before we put in the rest of our vegetables. Right into our cubed meat, and we're going to let this brown up and really start cooking up that delicious flavor. That's about good. You don't even need to use the whole thing. Now this meat has a ton of salt already on it, but I just still like to add a little bit more and a little bit of black pepper again. Once again, we're going to flavor every layer up in here and really keep that dish nice and seasoned. We're going to get it all even. We're going to just let these char up. I like to get a nice little char on it, brown it up, give it some little bit of crunch to the meat when the dish is cooking up. So that way the dish not only is delicious, but it also has multiple levels of texture with it as well. So we'll let that cook down for a little bit. Alright, so we've gotten our meat that's been cooking for probably, a good 5, maybe 10 minutes. And we cooked that over high heat, and you could see that it's really got the nice char, the really good texture that I like. Now we're going to go ahead and add in our vegetables, okay? Now, once again, if you want to do this before the meat, do what you prefer. I really like the onion and the meat to really build up that flavor, but we're going to add our next layer of depth right here with our vegetables. And when we put our vegetables in right here, we're going to let this cook down as well, but this is where we're going to add in our butter. Now, butter, I have an opinion about butter. I think you can get away with a half a stick of butter. Now, most people like a lot more butter. I don't personally think you need it. I still think it adds a nice, great flavor without overpowering the dish. But with that being said, butter as you will. So we're going to drop this in there, along with, this is where we're going to bust out our seasonings as well. We're going to take our fresh basil, boom, we're going to drop that in with the vegetables. We're going to take our fresh rosemary, boom, we're going to drop that in. Mix that up. We're going to come with some fresh green onions. And then we're going to top it off with some more cracked sea salt. We're going to do some more cracked pepper. Once again, I just like to kind of evenly coat the top, mix it all in. Now, even though we did fresh basil, I also like to add dry basil as well. Same amount of, and you can use Italian seasoning if you rather, and then a little bit of cayenne to add just a little kick. Now, cayenne, some people don't like spicy, but this with the sweet cornbread really balances it out so it's not overpowering. And you don't want to get too crazy with this, so that's good enough right there. And then we're going to let that really blend in. Now that the vegetables have cooked down for a little bit, we're just going to go ahead and add in our corn. Add both cans of corn. And we're going to add in our rotel, or once again, if you would rather tone it down, don't want it as spicy, you can use any fresh tomatoes or any canned tomatoes that aren't as spicy. We're going to mix this up and then add one more layer of seasoning. And then while this is actually getting mixed up, what we're going to do is go ahead and get ready to prep our other ingredients to have ready for when we add the cornbread. Alright, so real quick, I just want to show you how quick and simple this is. Now this cornbread like this, once you cook it, once again, that's if you cook it, you don't have to cook it. You can buy it from the store just like this. You just take it out of the packaging, or if you buy it from the store and it's in the packaging, just open the top, let it sit with the top open, 2 days, 3 days. You don't have to wait that long. You can do it the same day. Like I said, it's just better if it's stale out. But I'm going to just show you how easy this is. You just take a regular piece, and all you want to do is cube it. The reason you want to cube this, okay, and it's simple as, you know, and it doesn't have to be small. You can do it with your hands if you just want to crumble it up. It's that simple. And the main reason we want to cube this like this is just so when we get to the final stage, which you guys are going to see in a sec, is it just makes it easier when you're mixing everything up to really break down this cornbread and get it into the consistency where the whole dish is going to melt together. So we're in their final stages of really bringing together all that flavor. We're going to go ahead and prep our next stage. Super simple, okay? So what we've done is just taken our 2 eggs, we've cracked them, and scramble them down, okay? We're gonna add, here's where you can add, depending on, once again, this is the same thing as butter. You can add 4 cups, 3 cups of chicken stock. I'm actually gonna use 2.5 cups of chicken stock. So to kind of bring it down, once again, to reduce the sodium, we're gonna put that in right with the eggs. And you might want to get a little bit bigger bowl. And then we're just going to take our heavy cream, and we need a 1/2 cup of heavy cream. We just want to use a 1/2 cup right there. And we're just going to put that in there. And you just want to whisk that together. And this is going to be what we pour on our cubed cornbread once we add it to the dish. Now, you're going to want to preheat your oven, depending on how you do this dish. Today, because we have Thanksgiving going on, we have the, thank you, Dad. Excuse me. Quick Bloody Mary break. We have the turkey bacon in the oven, so the oven's kind of taken up. That's another great thing about this dish. You can put it in the oven, you don't have to bake it in the oven. Today, we're just going to cook it on stove top, and then we're just going to throw it in right at the end just to brown it. Right before the dish is ended. So let's whisk this together and get to it. So now everything's completed. It's well seasoned. It's been cooking down. We got the right texture. We're going to grab our cubed cornbread. And what we're going to do is you can just grab it, hand put it in there. Now, how much cornbread should you use? 2 pans, 4 pans. Keep in mind though, the consistency is going to depend on the liquid that you want to use. But I've made this dish so many times and I've probably never used the same amount of cornbread. I kind of eye this out as well. Just cover the whole dish, and once you start mixing it, which you'll see in a second once we add our liquid that we just pre-mixed together, you're going to come to the consistency, and once you determine the consistency you want, which is not soupy, of course, and you want to just kind of almost like oatmeal consistency that's not liquefied down, is kind of the consistency we want to go with. So I got the pan. You see we have some left over right here, which is fine, okay? We got it pretty good. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to take our pre-mixed liquid, okay? And we're just going to pour this right on top and try to cover it all up when you're pouring it on. That way what this is doing is softening that cornbread that we've let stale out, and it's going to help blend it all in. And you can see my trusty sous chef over here is going to go ahead and mix that all together. Just chop it up in there. That's how you got to do it. You can get right there, Pumps. You just really want to mix it in at first. You can kind of use the chop method as well. And then once you kind of break it down enough, you can start turning it and getting the juices all in there. And what you want to do is really mix this in. Once again, you're going to see the final texture that we're going for. But you want to start seeing some of those delicious vegetables and the meat that have been marinating down and building that flavor get all in there. Just keep working it and working it. You see, this is kind of even right here. It's not. We might add a little bit more chicken stock, or actually, I might just add a tad bit more of water if once again you don't want to use as much chicken stock, just to kind of break it down a little bit. On the stove now for about 30 minutes, and once again you should bake this covered. It's been sitting on there covered. The only reason I'm transferring is because we need to make room because we have the turkey in there, so there's not as much room in the oven. So we're going to transfer it to a pan that we have more space for. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to level this out. And you can eat this just like this, by the way, but what we're going to do is just give it a little crunch texture by baking it for about 15 to 20 minutes uncovered. And what it's going to do is just brown this top and give it a nice crunchy extra depth of flavor there, and we'll be good to go. All right, for the moment of truth, the moment that we've all been waiting for. Oh yeah, look at that. It's got the nice, perfect crust. You can let it go a little bit longer if you wanted to, but this is perfect. And we're just going to dip right in. You can see now it's got that little crunch up in there. See that little crunch? I guarantee you're going to love this Cajun cornbread dressing. Thank y'all so much for watching. Please make sure to comment and subscribe down below. I look forward to hearing from you. Oh yeah, that's the cornbread dance. Cornbread dance. Okay. Once you've done that, then you can actually start cooking.